Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Great to have you here today. Hi, hello, how you doing? Welcome to today's video. We are doing the mid-year book freakout tag, which is a tag that has been going on in the book community for years and years and years and years and years. Am I way too late on doing this? Maybe. But you know what? Better late than never, right? I haven't done a tag video in a minute on my channel and I am quite excited about this. Just in general, let's just talk about my reading, how it's been going this year.
That may be beyond my abilities at the moment.
Thank you, Siri. So I have only read 12 books this year, which is honestly my lowest amount reading year ever since I started getting back into reading again. If you're new to my channel, I am definitely a slower reader. I mean, in the best, the time when I was peak, when it was the pandemic and I was actually had a ton of time and whatnot, I read 50 books and that was the best reading year that I've ever had. So I generally can only read about 1 to 4 books a month, and this year it's just been a slower year. I mean, I'm planning a wedding, work has been really insane, but yeah, that's kind of what my life has been this year. And you know what? It's a work in progress. You can never be great at everything. On the bright side, every book that I've read this year has been a really, really good book. I think I've only given 1 3-star or 2 3-stars or something. All of the rest have been 4.5 or 5 stars. So at least we have some good books that we're reading. So let's just move on to the questions. The first question is best book you've read so far in 2023. Not even a question. Not even a question. Hands down, Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This book, my God, I am so happy I read this book. This book came to me at the perfect time too. I've talked a lot about it in my recent reading vlogs and stuff like that. If you've seen it, you know I'm just obsessed with this book. This book is about 2 friends who meet as youngins, they bond over video games, and then they end up growing up and becoming video game developers together. The thing that I liked about this book is that although it's about video games, immediately your mind thinks combat, what is the one, Call of Duty? I don't know. That's just the auto for me whenever I think of video games. But I've really gotten into cozy gaming and stuff like that this year with Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley and stuff like that. And they focus a lot on cozy gaming and non-combat gaming is their niche. I just loved this book. Not only was the aspect of the video games really cool, but it was also their friendship. You see them go through so many different seasons in their life. They don't have the easiest friendship ever. And I just loved the nuance of this and just how the friendship was portrayed. It was so beautiful, but I'm also a sucker for a generational family or friendship saga, and this is definitely on that list. So highly would recommend it if you love character-focused novels, if you are into video games or cozy gaming or anything like that. I think you would really, really like this book. It was absolutely phenomenal. Bawled my eyes out. It was amazing. Would recommend. Next one, best sequel you've read so far in 2023. Well, I've only read 1 sequel, so I think this has to be the best one, and that's Queen of Shadows. And I will say it was a pretty bomb sequel, if I do say so myself. Throne of Glass series. If you're not familiar with this book, basically this is the fourth installation of the Throne of Glass series, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars, I believe. It was either 4.5 or 5 stars. I loved this one. I think this is the best one in the series so far. It was action-packed from the very beginning. It was amazing. I mean, you can't go wrong. This is definitely the best book in the series by far. It was everything you could ever want, truly. So yeah, that's the only sequel I've read this year and definitely the best ones. Next question, new release you haven't read yet but want to. I think the one biggest, well, there's actually 2. The first one is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I got this from my friend Rachel for my birthday. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to read this. I don't know 100% what it's about. All I know is it's set in the literary world. Someone publishes a book or something like that in this book, and then I think there's also a family drama type situation going on as well. But the best book I read last year was Babel by R.F. Kuang, and I loved her writing. I thought it was so intricate and beautiful and well detailed and well written without being too detailed. It was perfect. I've really wanted to start reading more of her books, and this is the new release that came out this year that I'm really, really interested in. The other new release that I'm so interested in reading is The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I believe that's the author's name. Okay, initially when this book first came out, one of my friends, Hannah from Hannah's Recent Reads, read it and she gave it a little bit of a scathing review. Hannah is my resident fantasy romance girly. So I was like, okay, if she doesn't really like it, then maybe I won't like it either. Like, I feel like she tends to like pretty top tier romances and fantasy romances. So I was like, okay, maybe I won't want to read it. But then the entire Bookstaverse is always talking about it. My best friend was talking about it. Literally everyone is talking about it and I just want to know the hype. I want to know what I'm gonna think. I want to give it a chance. I really, really want to give it a chance, but I feel like I'm like late to the hype train because I went to Barnes & Noble like 2 months ago and it was sitting on the shelf and I was like, I don't really need it. But now went to Barnes & Noble yesterday, it was gone. It was not there. It is on back order on Amazon for like months. Doubt I can even get it on my library. That's like a pipe dream. So I think I might buy it on Kindle, which I really don't like buying books full price on Kindle because they're like $15, which is like basically the price of the book. I really, really want to read it. I really, really want to give it a try. So that's the other one. That one's like a dragon fantasy romance with like some dark academia elements to it, and I'm sure you've probably read it because everyone in the book universe has read it. So yeah, that's the other one that I really want to get to. Biggest disappointment. I don't feel like I had any that I was like really disappointed in, but if I had to choose one, I think I would say I wasn't even disappointed when I read this book, but I feel like this was my lowest rated book that I read this year, and so I'm just gonna say it. Patricia Wants to Cuddle by Samantha Allen. I honestly, not a disappointment. I honestly had a really fun time reading this book. It just was wacky. Like, it was weird and wacky, but in the best way. Really, again, not disappointed in this book. It's just the book that this is, out of all the books I've read this year, this is probably my lowest rated book. So I guess I'll change the question to lowest rated book, and it would be this. This is a book about a reality TV show similar to The Bachelor, and essentially the cast and crew are filming the final, like the 4 episodes or whatever of The Bachelor on this like remote island off the coast of Seattle. And like weird things happen on this island. People disappear a lot. There's like just weird things that happen all the time. You know, I was reading this book. It was like fun. It was cute. And then we got to the ending and it was like, what the F is happening? Literally. It was wild. If you want a weird book, I would recommend this to you. But I don't think I would recommend this to the average individual. I think they'd be like, what? Why did you recommend that to me? Yeah, that's the, I guess, lowest rated book. I'll just put that, I'll sub that for biggest disappointment. Next question is biggest surprise. And honestly, I'm so excited about this one. I feel like I have a good book for this one, and that is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I loved this book. Okay, let me just explain where I'm coming from. So in the beginning of the year, I had COVID and I was stuck at home, could not move. I was in quarantine. And when I was in quarantine, I got into this really big productivity phase and mindset of like, I want to be a productive person. I want to like do all the things and like just get it all done and like build better habits and all this kind of stuff. So I read this book, and my God, was this book amazing. Like, this is like the Bible for building habits. This is what you should read if you want to build better habits. I gave this book like 500 stars. It is so good. It's so easy to read. It's not too technical. It gives really good examples. And I just feel like if you want to build better habits, this book tells you exactly how to do it. And it's really easy to read. They're not just like shoving information in your face. They're like giving you really good examples on how to like, implement habit stacking and like making sure you know what like you have a certain time when you're gonna do the habit. I really thought it was well thought out. It was really well written. Like, I read this book once, thought it was amazing, but now I want to go back through and be like, okay, I want to be really intentional about this habit I want to build. So I'm gonna follow the instructions in this book on how to build a better habit. I would totally recommend this if you are interested in habit building and like productivity and stuff like that. I really, really loved this. And I know you can listen to it on audio, but I honestly feel like the physical book would be easier to like actually take notes on it and whatnot. So 100% would recommend. Really loved it. Definitely the biggest surprise for me this year. Okay, so the next question is new favorite author, debut or new to you. And no brainer, this is it. My new favorite author this year is Jacqueline Holland, who wrote The God of Endings. Really cool story behind this too. So Jacqueline Holland is a local author from the Minneapolis area, and she wrote this book, The God of Endings. She gave me an arc to it, and I got to meet her at the book release party, and it was just so cool. If you want to watch that video, I have a whole link down below reading this entire book and like going to that meet up and whatnot. First of all, Jacqueline Holland is an amazing person. Right off the bat, she is great. I really, really loved meeting her, and she's just such a kind and wonderful soul. And this book is also incredible. I was so pleasantly surprised when I read this. Like, I honestly didn't even know what to expect when I read this book, but like, it was truly amazing. Like, I think I gave this book like, it was either a 4.5 star. It was so good. Essentially, this book is like the vampire version of Addie LaRue. And if you liked Addie LaRue, I am sure you are going to love this book. It is the same kind of setting where it's like historical, and like you're set in the time back when like vampires were like lore and like could plausibly be real, all this kind of stuff. And it was just a beautiful story. You're following this woman throughout decades of time, as well as she's trying to like survive as this vampire. It was really, really beautiful and very, very well written. I've recommended this book to many people in my personal life, and like everyone has loved it who has read it. And I would just highly recommend it, giving it a try if you haven't heard about it, or if you're interested in reading this. It was really amazing, and I will definitely be reading all of the other things that Jacqueline Holland comes out with, because I just feel like this is her debut novel, and it was just a stellar book. Her writing is only going to be able to go up from here. Like, she has so much potential, and she's such a great person to talk to and to meet and everything like that. I'm just like so excited to read whatever else she has to put out. So would 100% recommend this book if you haven't read it yet. Next question is newest fictional crush. Oh my God. As a 29-year-old woman who doesn't really get crushes on book boyfriends that often anymore, I don't know. And maybe I'm the outlier. I'm not someone who's like, I'm not a big romance girly, but if I had to choose, I would say, I'm gonna say Adian, okay? I know everyone who has read this book or has read Throne of Glass series would 100% say Rowan, but like, Adian is my man. He's got the charisma, he's got the character, he's got the humor, he's got it all. I love Adian. Like, he's just a joy to read in this book, and honestly, that's my fictional crush, okay? Okay, so the next question is a book that made you cry, and I think there's only one answer to this, and that is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Again, we're bringing it back around to my favorite book that I've read this year. I have not cried that hard in a book in a really long time. I was so unwell. Like, I was like legit sobbing for at least 10 minutes. And if you've read this book, you know where I was crying. You know. It was so painful. And that's why I love this book too, is because it made me cry. Okay, we love a sad book. We love a sad book on this channel. Okay, next question is a book that made you happy. And this one warms my heart. The book that made me happy is What the Rose Said by Cleo Wade. This is a children's book, but it's also an adult book too. But it's just like about when you're feeling the feels and you don't know where you are in your life, and you're feeling lost, and you're feeling like you don't know where you're going. Read this book. Read this book. One of my subscribers, Colleen, sent this book to me. She's a children's librarian, and she hit the nail on the freaking head. I'm so thankful she sent this to me. This book, honestly, I was so moved by it when I read it, and it just like warmed my heart. Also, did it make me cry like happy tears? Yeah, it did. I just love this book. I think this book is not only for kids, but it's also for adults too, of just like feeling seen in life, and like we're all on this journey together, and nobody's perfect, and life is a highway, and I'm gonna ride it all night long. This book is amazing. I would highly recommend it if you just like need a good feel-good story, you know? All right, next cue. Most beautiful book that you've bought or received this year. Ooh, I have two for this because I couldn't decide. The first is the Fairy Loot edition of Crescent City. Oh my God, this book. This is House of Earth and Blood, but I also have Sky and Breath too. It's just unreal. The gold foiling is unfreaking believable. These edges are unbelievable. The illustrations are unreal. I mean, by far one of the most beautiful books I own. It is absolutely unreal. Like, are you serious? Are you serious here? Like, these books are just prized possessions that I just want to like display. And it even has the gold ribbon, like the box too. It's unreal. Ah! I always like don't like to touch these because I'm scared I'm gonna ruin it. because I've ruined so many books in my lifetime and it's honestly tragic. And then the next book that I have that is one of the most beautiful books I got this year is Trust of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This is part of the Secret Surprise books that he has released this year, or the surprise novels. It's so beautiful. I think the thing that I like about this one is that there's illustrations throughout the entire book too, and they're breathtaking. I mean, unreal. The end papers are so gorgeous. And I love how like in every chapter, like there's green like color throughout the book. Here, like look, there's like just illustrations and stuff, and like the gold, the leather. I mean, it's like everything I ever want in a book. It is so, so, so stunning. And I still have to read this book. I really want to read it soon. Definitely a prized possession for me. Honestly, those are the two of the most beautiful books that I own. Okay, next question is favorite book to movie adaptation you've seen so far this year, and that is not even a question, Daisy Jones and the Six. I've rewatched it already. I mean, that's the answer. That's gonna be everyone's answer this year, right? Is because it was so good. The outfits were amazing. The cast was amazing. The tension was amazing. The whole thing was a 10 out of 10. I loved it. And upon the second rewatch, I liked those first few episodes more than I did when I initially watched them. Like when I initially watched them, the first few episodes, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna like this, but like honestly, it was gold. It was amazing. I loved it. I had my friend over like every week and we watched it together. It was so fun. I think that's the only book to movie adaptation I've seen this year, but it was awesome. Also, I'm so excited for the Barbie movie to come out. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. Okay, and then last question here. What books do you really need to read by the end of the year? There is one book that I do need to read before the end of the year, and that is Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. And the only reason I need to read this is because the 5th one is probably going to come out sometime next year, and I really want to be able to read that when it comes out. So this is the only that like required reading that I need to do. But the other book that I would like to read before the end of the year is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang as well, like I talked about earlier. So honestly, these are the only two. And I feel like, okay, this last half of the year for me, I'm getting married. And so my time in terms of like having time to read is going to dwindle quite a bit. I have the Rhythm of War book on audio, so I'm definitely gonna be trying to listen to that more. It's gonna take me months to read this book. I'm only about like 5 hours into the audiobook, and it's like a 45-hour audiobook. So I have quite a lot to get to in this one. But then I would just really like to read this. This is a book that is like one of my most anticipated books this year, and something that I really, really want to get to going forward. Also, I think I skipped a question. I think I skipped most anticipated release for the second half of 2023, and lumping that in with the fact that I'm getting married this year, I don't think I have an anticipated release. Like, I just want to get to the books that I have been having on my TBR for a long time, and I don't think that I'm going to be able to even keep up with the new releases that happen later this year because I'm getting married. So that's the answer to that question. All right, so that is the end of the video, and if you guys want to leave a little smiley face in the comments because it's summer and it's smiley and it's warm outside, I would absolutely love that. And leave down what is your favorite book of this year in the comments below as well. I would love to know. And until next time, I will see you in my next video. Peace and love, babies. I hope you have a wonderful day.